Hi, this is PatZi with a Z. Welcome to Joy on Paper Live, a program for writers and those who dream of writing, and for everyone who wants to know the story behind the book. And I am so happy to welcome to Joy on Paper Live Phillip Vega, because he's an old friend and he's been on my radio program many times, and I am so happy that he is here today on YouTube. Hi, Phil.
Hey, Patsy, how are you?
Okay, other than having swollen eyes because of some makeup situation, the most expensive makeup I ever bought, and it just irritated my eyes. So, other than that, and so I'm just looking a little bit like a movie star. What the heck? Why not?
You look fantastic, and I got to tell you, I'm excited to be here. So thank you so much for having me.
It's wonderful to have you because, one, I've been an admirer of yours since book one. Wow, I don't know what year that was. No, the pandemic years really threw us. We lost contact for a few
Indeed.
years there. When did the first book came out? Last Exit to
So,
Montauk. What year was that?
yes. So that was 2015. No, I'm sorry. I wrote it in 2015. It came out in 2017.
Yeah, and
Yeah, so that came out in 2017. Yep.
oh, wow, wow. The years have gone by quickly, but I remember that, and I often think of you because we're going to tell the story in a little while when I put that book up about why, when I am in the supermarket and I am in the rice aisle, and I still think about you. So we'll tell that story in a little while because I think that's so great. Now, the new book just came out. It's got a
Yes.
fascinating cover, Fury in Her Eyes. And here it is. And I thought, let's talk a little bit about this. I noticed at the beginning of your book, you have this little saying, the first to
Yes.
apologize is the bravest, the first to forgive is the strongest, and the first to forget is the happiest. So
Indeed.
that's a great introduction for the book. And as I've written there, it is a gripping tale of betrayal and revenge
Well,
and redemption. So you're going to get to tell us all about it. It's really exciting when a new book comes out. And tell us about this book.
I appreciate it. And again, Patsy, it's great seeing you again. It's been a couple of years since you and I've had the opportunity to chat, and it's just wonderful to be here. So again, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. The new book, it just came out. It was released on July 26th. It's called, as you see, Fury in Her Eyes. It is a contemporary mystery romance novel. The book is about a Hispanic Pulitzer Prize-winning photojournalist. While covering the U.S. Capitol on January 6th, Oliver Morales, or Ollie, he is attacked by an overzealous rioter. During his time in recovery, we discovered that it could be a person from his past. So while he's in recovery, Ollie and the reader really dwells in Ollie's adolescence. We go back in time and we see him during his senior year of high school, where we piece together the connection between this heinous attack on January 6th with a girl from his adolescence, a girl named Neville Laurent, who is from a girl at his prep school from Belgium. So she's a new student from Belgium, and she has this air of mystery about her. In the book I write, she has this Princess Di quality to her, and she's wrapped in mystery. So as the novel unfolds, we get to not only meet her, but we get to meet some others as well. As I mentioned, the story takes place over two separate timelines, one on Long Island in the mid 80s, and then in the now time during his recovery. In the past, again, he's entranced with this girl, and in the today time, Ollie starts piecing together the mystery behind the attack, who attacked him, and how it relates to a time in his youth when he was also attacked during a party. During a high school party, Ollie was stabbed, and the question is by whom, and what was the purpose behind it, and how does it relate to the January 6th riot and that attack. So, again, it's a mystery romance novel. It's filled with suspense. I've already had some wonderful reviews, and I can't wait to talk about it more.
First of all, I want to say I know that you're so great at writing teenagers. that you're
Thank you.
you just get that age, and we'll talk about that when we talk again about Last Exit to Montauk. And so I like the flashbacks, but what gave you the idea to do the January 6th, around that.
So the impetus of this novel, it came from really just, I think as a nation we all lived through something. And the genesis of the story really was the January 6th riots. And I thought, what if there was a journalist? What if somebody were attacked while covering the event? And it turns out to be somebody from his or her past. And what if that person held a grudge? What would be the impact to that person's story? So I started really just peeling back the onion from the protagonist's perspective. And as with all of my novels, I feature white collar Hispanic protagonists because for me, we don't see enough of them in today's media portrayals. We really hear about the migrant experience or some other experiences with Hispanic protagonists, but not really the white collar. In this novel, not only is Ollie, who's the main protagonist, a Pulitzer Prize-winning photojournalist, but I also feature his father, who's a physician. His younger brother is featured, who's also a physician. And the genesis or the nexus of the story really came from that attack. And then I just sat back and said, okay, let's think about this. And I peeled back the onion, and the story just unfolded in my mind's eye, as many of the stories that I write do. And I saw the whole story arc. I saw, okay, here's a guy who was attacked, and while he's in recovery, he's reflecting on the reasons behind the attack, and then he reflects on a time in his youth. This story, like my other three novels, all take place in the same universe, if you would. Think about it from in today's world. The great example would be the Marvel universe, right? You've got all these great individual characters, but then periodically they all come together in one story. Each of my stories are standalone, but there are periodic crossovers. There are some Easter eggs from previous novels, and I do that for the fans. And the fans, the feedback that I receive from my fans is always positive when they see characters from Last Exit to Montauk, or from Captain and the Queen, or from Searching for Sarah. When they see them in subsequent stories, I always receive a note saying, "Hey, thanks for putting that character in there," or "Oh my gosh, I can't believe that person showed up in the story." So that's really the genesis of the nexus of the story. It's not a political story. I don't have a political statement here. It's just that incident took place. It's now part of our zeitgeist, I think. And what if somebody that we know, and in this case it would be Ollie, were involved in a victim of an attack, and what is the impact to that person? And can that person ultimately find redemption and resolution? If you read the novel, you'll find out the answer to that question.
Exactly. It's 9/11. There's a before and after period, and it's the same
That's right.
now with January 6th. There's a before and after, and people can have that set in their minds, particularly when you have one story here in the present and then you're flashing back to his past. And it's true, an event like that is a great opportunity if you want to get somebody as part of not getting noticed. So it is a very clever idea.
Well, thank you. And like I said, the reviews from so far that have come in, again, it just came out a little over a week ago, little maybe 2 weeks now. But hearing things like a riveting tale of love, loss, and redemption, a gripping tale of forgiveness and redemption, intricately captivating tale. So I'm hearing some constant themes in the reviews, and they all seem to be positive. So it
A
sounds like
lot of
sounds like
five-star reviews, a lot of five-star reviews, which is a great thing
yeah.
when you release a book and you're already being bombarded with five-star reviews. It makes you feel happy, right?
It makes me feel great. It makes me feel great that it seems to be hitting a place in people's hearts. So that's the goal, right? Yeah, that's the goal.
You've accomplished it. And let's just look for a minute because you are an award winning author. I remember when we started Last Exit to Montauk, and when that book came
Yes.
out, you still weren't sure. It's always so exciting for me to talk to somebody with his first book, and it's an exciting moment in your life. And I remember telling you at the time, I said, it is so good. It is just so well written. I was thrilled
Well,
with it. I
thank you.
remember my sister Natalie read it and she loved it. There's something about that book that just touched our heart immediately. So we'll talk a little bit about it because here you were, a businessman. You didn't go to school to learn how to write, explain how you started. And really, it's just funny. I love that story.
I'll tell you. So how did I start writing? And I can still see it to this day. It was a rainy August Saturday afternoon, and my wife and I, my wife Jeanette, she is my rock. She really the person that keeps me centered, and she is hands down the best person I know. She and I have been married now for 31 years, and so she and I we went grocery shopping like everybody does on a Saturday afternoon. And we're here in Florida in the Tampa area, and it was raining. Right, it was raining in August. Go figure. And we came home, put the groceries away. It was one of those sleepy Saturday afternoons. She went in with the dogs to go take a nap, and I sat on my couch with my iPad, as people do, and flipped on the channel. And I jokingly tell people, had Tiger Woods been playing, that I probably would have never written my first novel, because I sat down and I flipped on the channel. I put on golf as people do, and he wasn't playing. It was a boring. And as I was sitting there, these images just started playing in my mind's eye, almost like a YouTube video. And I saw a complete story arc just playing in my mind's eye, and it was The Last Exit from Montauk. I envisioned the main protagonist. I envisioned B, who is the love interest in the novel, and the whole story arc just played out in my mind's eye. And I just felt this compulsion. I felt compelled. I need to write this down. I don't know why, but I opened up my iPad was open. I opened up Word on my iPad, and I just started writing down what I was seeing. And before I knew it, I was 3 chapters deep, and 6 weeks later, I was done. I finished before my 50th birthday, a number of weeks beforehand. But I never envisioned. Okay, so I got this story out of me. I was staying up nights and weekends, and my wife was, "What's going on?" I'm like, "I don't know. I just need to get this out of me." And there were even some nights I'd start writing at 10 p.m. and I wouldn't finish till 8 a.m. Just one of those things. And we were having dinner with friends, and we were doing the how's the kids, how's work, those normal conversations. And my friend Carol said, "What else is happening?" I said, "Oh, I wrote a story, but that's fine." And I went on to the next topic, and my friend Carol was like, "Wait a minute, hold on a second. What's that all about? What do you mean you wrote a story?" And long and the short of it, she put me in contact with a friend of hers who's a published award-winning author as well. One thing led to another, and I entered the world of authorship. I sent my manuscript to my now publisher and editor, and as a favor to this other writer, she said, "I'll take a look. I'm not really looking for new clients, but I'll take a look and I'll just give you some overall feedback." So send me the first 3 chapters. I did, and then she asked for the rest. And she and I met for coffee because she happened to be local, even though she isn't anymore. And she said, would you mind me giving you some feedback? I'm like, "Sure, absolutely." So she did. And at first she thought it was a memoir. She didn't realize that this was pure fiction because of the way it was written. And I said, "No, this is a fiction novel. This is a fictitious story. This never occurred." And that blew her away, so much so that the people that work with her were like, "Who's this? What's going on? Who's this person that you're reading?" And she said, "I don't know." She said, "Where's he from?" She's, "I don't know. He's a friend of a friend, or he's a friend of a client, but his tale is gripping." So again, long story short, we came to an agreement, and here we are, a number of years later.
And
With my fourth novel.
I know, it's amazing. And there is the start of your interest in mysterious women, because the girl in that story, we never learn her name. We just see the first letter is B, and
Yes,
she is so compelling. It is so wonderful. But there's a mystery that, just by the fact that we never learn her name, and of course, I can see why it wasn't a true story, because then your wife would have probably hit you over the head. And
true,
true, right?
true. That's you're not too far off. You're not too far off. But yeah, it was again. It was. I've even had people. What's been interesting as part of this journey, PatZi, is I've had people, because the the story's fictitious, but I do use real locations. U.S. Capitol, of course, is real location. In my novels, which partially take place in a real town called Stony Brook, which is where I grew up, on Long Island. It's on the North Shore of Long Island. I use real locations, and I've had people go on journeys where they take selfies at West Meadow Beach and over in Port Jeff and some other locations where they're named in the novel, and they send me these selfies and these pictures. Look, I'm here at West Meadow Beach and some other locations, and that just had someone told me in 2014, or even for that matter, in July of 2015, because I started writing in August of 2015. Had somebody told me back in July, I would have laughed. I would have said, that'll never happen. But here we are in 2024, and I'm receiving pictures from fans saying, here I am at West Meadow, or here I am at the park bench, or in Port Jefferson, or a number of other locations as well. So it's just been a very interesting journey.
I remember telling you at the time, I said to you, this is a joy on paper. Once you feel that, once you see your work, you can't stop. And when it's so good, and I know the reception for your first book was so wonderful. It's so memorable. Even today, if I'm in the supermarket and I'm in that rice aisle, I look around and see if any guy is standing around there looking to see if he's going to see somebody like
Yes, the miracle rice. Yes, and that scene that scene at the very beginning of the novel. Frankly, it happened to me. I can recall going to Whole Foods and going down that aisle and seeing the miracle rice and just thinking of that funny little joke. I wonder why it's so miraculous, or however I put it. And so yeah, it still makes me laugh whenever I go into Whole Foods and I walk down those aisles, and I'm like, I wonder if I'll run into a bee, or I wonder if I'll run into a young Hispanic couple who just happen to be grocery shopping, like my wife and I.
It's great. And explain, because you're right that Hispanics are not often portrayed in a different milieu, often so negative. So this is professional people, and you come from a family like that on Long Island. And tell us about your family, and particularly your mother. I know she was a great influence on you.
1,000%. I come from a family. I have an older brother, a younger brother. I have some older sisters as well. We grew up in a home where my father, he worked for the federal government, and he was a white collar. He was a worked for the Human Rights Organization. He was a commissioner within the Human Rights for the U.S. federal government in New York City. And my mother was a physician. She was a medical doctor. She was a pediatrician. She graduated top of her class. She was valedictorian of her class of her medical school. She also went to Columbia as well. These are the type of people that I grew up with. We were fortunate enough to live in a very nice home on Long Island in Stony Brook with wonderful neighbors during a time where it was pre-cell phone era. And not only did you have your mother, but you had multiple mothers in the neighborhood. Everybody watched out for each other. But I've had very strong women examples in my life. And my father, he passed away when I was 13. And my mother had to take on the role of both mother and father and she did a wonderful job raising us. Outside of writing books, I still sell software for a living. My older brother, also a college graduate, and he was actually valedictorian of his MBA program. And my wife and I are blessed with four great, wonderful sons. Two are active Air Force. One is a plumber, and one is in finance. And my youngest, who's in finance, he already has his MBA, and just wonderful young men. And my wife and I are 1,000% proud of them. And it's something that I tell them. I tell them, guys, I'm proud of you. I love you. And you're all turning into just wonderful young men.
Well,
I can't say enough about them.
they are accomplished, as are you, and they must be so proud of you. First, you have a first book, and then you got an award. That must have made you feel good.
Oh, I tell you, yeah, it felt just amazing when Last Exit to Montauk, it won the Manhattan Book Award. It won numerous awards. After that, the Captain and the Queen. It, first place winners. And then my last book, Searching for Sarah, the first two novels were coming of age love stories. Last Exit to Montauk was certainly more serious than the second one. Second one was a little bit more comedic, but still a love story. The third novel, Searching for Sarah, that was an LGBTQ novel. Also a love story, again, set in the same universe. All the main protagonists, all white-collar main protagonists, they all grew up on Long Island, all grew up in Stony Brook, all happen to go to the same prep school, right? So there's a lot of cross cameos, if you would. That novel, Searching for Sarah, was a gold medal winner in fiction romance for Book Excellence Award. It won the gold medal with the Florida Authors and Publishers Association. It won actually numerous awards, and it was very well received by not only um, fans of romance novels, but especially of the LGBTQ community. Again, like my children, I'm proud of all of my novels. I'm especially thankful for the people that have helped me throughout my writing journey.
And it has been a journey, but then you also have to learn, because this is the life of an author today, that you have to build a platform, you have to get out there and
Right.
promote your book. There are a lot of challenges. So for the first book, it was all new to you, although you're in software, so you were many steps ahead of so many authors who have no idea even how to do more than Word on their computers. And your marketing, you had a lot going for you that many authors don't have.
I'll tell you, I continue to learn. The internet and the platform that is available in 2024 is certainly different than the platforms that were available back in 2017 when Last Exit to Montauk was released. But yeah, I've used various marketing campaigns. I've built a good size following on social media. I use social media campaigns. I have email lists. I do meet and greets. I go out and promote my book at festivals. I go out to bookstores and do author signings, author appearances, author signings. I have the good fortune of coming on shows, Joy on Paper, on YouTube, to promote the work and tell people, A, thank you for entrusting me with your time. And thank you for entrusting me with your eyes. Please go to philipvega.com, Philip with two L's, vega.com, to get my latest book, but also to see where you can purchase my other books. And they're available wherever books are sold. They're available at Amazon. They're available at Barnes and Nobles. They're available even at Walmart. If you go at walmart.com and you put in my name, you'll find my books there. And again, they're available in paperback and an ebook as well.
It's exciting. I'm so happy for you because, as I said, when you first started off, and I had a feeling that I knew, of course, that you couldn't stop once you started, but I had a feeling also that you were going to have this new part of your life would be so enriching.
It really has been. It really has been. And what's been an interesting part of this journey is the people that I've been in contact with and the people who've touched my life. I've had people come up to me and talk to me about their journey and about their time growing up and how how Last Exit to Montauk has impacted them, how they've had bees in their life, how they fell in love and their first time in love, which is really a lot of my stories are about that first time you fall in love. I've had people thank me for sharing the white collar Hispanic story. Again, it's not that I cannot appreciate the blue collar, the migrant worker, those stories that we're seeing out in the media, but those aren't the stories that I grew up with. Those aren't the people that I can relate to because those aren't the people I grew up around. I grew up around the white collar professionals who were Hispanic, and those are the messages that I want to promote. And that's the message that I want to share with the world, that it's not the gangbangers and the thugs and the people with the tattoos and all that stuff. Not that there's anything wrong with that, and I'm not disparaging those folks that live in those worlds. I'm just saying there's more to life than that, and you can aspire to more. You can become a writer, you can become a software executive, you could become a doctor, a lawyer, a plumber, a person in finance. You could become a second lieutenant in the Air Force. You could become a staff sergeant in the Air Force. You can do all kinds of things and live a happy life.
Exactly, exactly. And anybody who's been, well, anywhere, this is a fact of life. This is America. If you go into a hospital, I can't tell you how many of the doctors and the nurses and will be Hispanic. And so
Yeah.
we see it. And I think that's so great that you put this out there in a book so that people can read it, but you don't have to, this is just a book for everybody. Your stories are so universal. This love, this looking back at your life, trying to analyze what went wrong uh, and what was going on.
No, 1,000%. Yeah. Yes, 1,000%. It's reflection and it's relatability. Everybody has that love story. Everybody has that first time that they fell in love, and even the first heartbreak. In one of my stories, the person connects again with that person, um, and you see what happens at the end. And others, there's a tragic ending, and there are resolutions and things that you have to overcome. Um, but it's all about surrounding yourself with people that love you and that you love. And so, at the core of all of my work, it is those love story moments. It's about the people that hold you up and love you and allow you to love them back. So those are the stories that I've been telling so far.
So why did you make Ollie Morales? Why is he a Pulitzer Prize winning photographer? Are you into photography? You knew enough about it?
Um, Great. Thanks for the question. No, actually, so here I'll give you an exclusive. He was actually inspired. So Ollie was inspired by an old high school friend of mine named Carlos, and who's an award-winning photographer. He's a photojournalist. And when the January 6th events occurred, um, and I saw some of the things that he was publishing, I thought, huh, what if? Fortunately, he wasn't injured. Right. This is again a work of fiction. But I thought, okay, who would have skin in the game um, based on this event? Would it be a politician? Would it be a person in Congress? Would it be a photojournalist? And I thought, yeah, a photojournalist would not only have skin in the game, but would be in direct line of fire, so to speak. And so that the character just I envisioned him in my mind's eye as I do with my other stories, and that's the story that was playing in my mind's eye. That's the video that played, and I saw the story arc play out. And I saw the characters, the main characters, and the secondary characters play out in my mind's eye. And I thought, yeah, this is the story that I'd like to tell. Again, without it being a political story, but it's a mystery romance. It's a who is this girl? The fury in her eyes. What does that mean? Who is this? Who is this auburn-haired, hazel-eyed girl who seems to have it all? But there's something in her eyes. There's a glint in her eyes that you could tell she's hiding something. And so as you read the novel and you continue to peel back the onion, as I like to say, you get to learn more and more about her and her story and what brought her from Belgium at the latter part of her senior year to a brand new country, to a prep school. Why is she there, and what is she trying to hide? There's also another element to the story as well, where another a girl named Jackie is attacked. And why was Jackie attacked? And how is Jackie Woodley's attack in high school twice? How is that related to the new girl, and how does Ollie tie into all that? And how does that tie into the future attack during January 6th? All that soup, if you would, uh, plays out throughout the novel. And so you see the current timeline, but then you see the timeline back in the mid 80s, 1986. And eventually things come to a head and the roads intersect and the story concludes.
Well, I think it works beautifully. It's really fantastic. And
Thank you so
I,
much.
as I said, I knew that you were going to be great, and you're getting better all the time. And it's just so much fun. I know that you're having fun doing it, and your
I
family must
really
be so
am.
proud of you.
I My biggest fans are certainly my family. My wife Jeanette, my older brother Diego, my older sister Joanne, my brother Peter, Susan, my older sister. They all so very supportive, and my children, as I'm sure other writers have said, they're like, he's just my dad. Yeah, we know he writes, but he's just my dad. He was the guy who made pancakes when we were growing up. He made the banana pancakes. He's the guy who tells the dad jokes during the inappropriate moments. He's the guy who embarrasses us in public. Is okay, give your old man a hug. Oh, dad. I'm that guy. The writing, yeah, okay, that's what he does, but he's just dad. And the influence that folks like Janet Fix, who's my editor and publisher with the Word Verve, she's had just a tremendous faith in my writing and has been so very supportive, as has, I belong to a writer group as well called the Patelis Writers and Authors Group. And the critiques and the feedback that I've received from them has just really helped shape and improve my work over the years. And just the personal growth that I've had since beginning this journey and where I am today and where I'm taking my next step and my next novel. I'm just so excited about it.
Well, I think you're marvelous. I was going to ask now, because you have these flashbacks that go back quite a few years, do you have to go back and check what does your memory hold for all of the things that happened in the past, or do you have to do a little bit of research again?
Yeah, I'd love to say these gray hairs they're not painted on. Unfortunately, they're real. Periodically, I do have to do some research. I have to remember, okay, what were some of the popular songs back then? What were some of the clothing styles that were very specific to the 1986 versus 1985? So I have to be again. These are the novels fiction, but people will tell you, hey, that movie didn't come out till. So if you name drop a movie, or if you name drop a song or something, or if you name drop an event, you have to be truthful about it. So I am, and I make sure that I am. And part of what I do as a writer, I make sure that those touch points, those touchstones, are truthful and honest. The characters, fictitious, but locations, the music, and the clothing style, and all those types of things, those need to be real. You'll never see a cell phone in any of my novels that occurred in 1986, because the technology just was, well, we'll say it wasn't there for teenagers like it
No,
is.
definitely not. And that happens when I recently told somebody was talking about their writing, and a young person, and I was talking, said in Paris, and I was saying when I was traveling in Paris when I was very young, you'd have to go to the American Express office to make a call to the United States, because
Yeah,
you couldn't just pick up the phone and dial. You went to the
right.
American Express down in the basement and signed up with the operator, and because of course I was poor at that time, I would call my dad collect, and of course he would
Yes,
not accept the charge, but he would know that I was all right.
right.
And this person could not believe it. It's what?
Yes. Yeah. No. Look, one of, and I can't believe I'm admitting this, and this will be out there in perpetuity now. But I recall missing the school bus. Excuse me, missing the school bus, not having a quarter or a dime to call home. So I call collect. And what's the name? Mom, I missed the bus. Come pick me up. And so the operator, I could feel the operator's eyes rolling. You have a collect call from Mom, I missed the bus. Come pick me up. Do you accept the charges? No. Okay. And then 15 minutes later, she'd pull up and just roll her eyes and shake her head. Just get in the car. I'm like,
I
sorry, Mom, I
know.
missed the
I mean,
bus. She's like,
it's
yeah, yeah.
so funny.
You know.
It's so
So
funny.
yes. Now,
Recently, somebody was talking, and they said they mentioned they used to like to look in the yellow pages, and
yes.
young people don't know what the yellow pages are, can't even comprehend it.
Yeah, which again in Last Exit to Montauk, right? One of the scenes of B coming over to the main protagonist's home. How'd you get my phone number? How'd you know where I lived? Her answer was that I looked it up in the phone book, the white pages, and he was like, "Oh gosh, she is a genius. She's brilliant." Um, which is something I also do in all of my novels. Not only do I have Hispanic white collar protagonists, but I also make sure that all of the women that are portrayed in my novels are strong women. You know, people they're not weak. These are not weak female characters, because these are not the type of women that I grew up around, and so I make sure to honor all of my female characters. They have a strength to them, and for me, that's very important, right? So it's not just featuring and showcasing white collar Hispanic males, but also strong women, because those are the type of people that influence me.
Exactly. I think you've done a phenomenal job with the new book.
Thank you.
It is really great, and I just want to again tell people it's Fury in Her Eyes, and this is your website, philipvega.com, and they can find out more there. And Phil, I'm just so proud of you. I'm so honored to know you, and honored that you're here as a guest. I've only started this a
Thank
little
you,
while
PatZi.
ago, and I'm doing it because I want to help promote all of the authors. over 9 years. That's 2000 up. So,
Well,
but you are a
on behalf,
standout. You are
well,
one of the
thank you.
standouts for me because I remember the beginning and I love that.
Listen, on behalf of my fellow authors, if I can just say thank you so much for championing us, because we're thankful for people like you that allow us to share our voice with the world. And PatZi, your voice is so very important. So I appreciate you having me on. I appreciate your friendship. I appreciate the support that I've received from you over the years. It means more to me than and I boast about your broadcast, and I boast about you on many occasions. So if some night on a Saturday night your ears are burning, it's because Phil is bragging about PatZi with a Z.
Thank you so much, Phil. And I keep you in my heart. I keep you in the rice aisle. And again, thank you so much for joining me. And everybody, get this book. It's a great read, and get all of his other books. And he likes mystery women, and that's always intriguing. Thank you again, Phil. Bye
Indeed.
bye.
Thank you, PatZi. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.
You too. Bye bye now.
Thanks. Bye-bye.